Hello and welcome to IP Study Video Lectures. And today we are going to discuss Chapter 3 from Grade 6 Social Science, and the name of the chapter is Major Landforms and Life. In this chapter we are going to discuss few important topics like mountains, plateaus, plains, other landforms. Okay, these are the 4 topics that we'll cover in this chapter. So now let's see the intro of this chapter. We all know land, it is our natural home, right? Because land provide space for human settlement. Okay, land not only provides space for human settlement, but also it provides space for agriculture. Yes, farmers produce crops on land. Okay, land also provides space for industrial establishment, or we set up industries on land and industries produce different goods. And lastly, land also enables transportation, different modes of transportation like rail transport, road transport, and so on. However, we have to understand that land, it is not uniform. Okay, all over the world we find different types of land and its features, right? In India also, if we move from north to the south, first we see Himalayas or the mountains, then we encounter plains, and then we encounter highlands, then plateaus and other landforms also. So landforms in simple terms can be defined as a naturally formed physical features of the earth's surface. Okay, they are naturally formed and they are the physical features that we can find on the surface of the earth. Okay, or in other terms we can say that these landforms are the shapes or structures of a landscape. Okay, so all the shapes and structures that form the landscape of the earth, we can say all these shapes and structures are the landforms. And when we talk about the creation of the landforms are naturally created and it takes a long period of time. So they are naturally created over a long period of time, maybe millions of years. For example, the landforms which we see today, it might not have existed millions of years ago. And similarly, the landform that we see today might not exist in coming future, maybe after millions of years. So it is dynamic, it keeps on changing. So now let's see the significant or impact of landform. So landform have a significant impact on the life that exists around them, because landform saves the environment and also influence the lifestyle of the people, or we can say the lives of the people. Because different landforms offers different type of geographical condition. It can include the type of soil, the type of climate, vegetation, wildlife and so on. So depending upon the landform or the surrounding, the life including humans, they adapt according to that. Okay, for example, in mountainous region we see plants that are different, or we can say the plants have adapted to the cold environment. Similarly, animals, if we see in mountainous region, we see animals with few thick fur, right? And in the desert region, we see different type of plant. What are these? These are the adaptation that the plant or animal or life does depending on the landform that surround them or the landform in which all the life exists. So the landforms can be divided into 3 main categories: mountains, plateaus and plains. Okay, so now the first topic is mountains. So what are mountains, right? So when we talk about mountains are tall, large natural structure on the earth's surface, and they rise significantly higher than the surrounding land. Or we can say that mountains are elevated landforms, okay, and they have huge elevation in comparison to surrounding land. Also, when we talk about the features of mountains might have steep sides or slope, and they can have either pointed or rounded tops. So when we talk about the peak, it can be pointy or it can be round. Okay, and in higher altitudes, mountains are covered with snow, and this snow, they melt during the summertime, and this water from snow, they act as a source for many numerous streams and rivers, and these rivers are very much important for humans as well as other ecosystem. So now comes hills. What are hills? Hills are also elevated landforms. But if we see hill and a mountain, the elevation or the height of a hill is lower than that of a mountain. And also hills have gentle slopes and more rounded tops. Now you can see here in the picture or image, this is a hill. It has a gentle slope and a rounded top. On the other hand, if you see here, this is a mountain. It has a pointy peak and the sides, or we can say slope. These are all the slopes. It is very steep. Now let's discuss mountain ranges. So most of the highest mountain peaks, they do not exist in an isolation, or they do not exist in an isolated place. They are a part of a huge chain called mountain range. So what are mountain ranges? Mountain range, it is a series of connected mountains and they form a long chain. For example, the Himalayan mountain range. So now here in the picture also you can see series of mountains we can see here, right? So different mountains, when they connect together, they form a range. For example, Himalayan in Asia, Andes in South America, Alps in Europe. And these Himalayan range, they stretch for thousands of kilometers. Himalayan in Asia, it stretches almost 2,400 kilometers. It stretches to a vast area and it also stretches across multiple countries. And when we talk about the highest peak or the tallest peak, we can say Mount Everest, that is in the Himalayan range. It is the highest or the tallest mountain on the earth with elevation of 8,848 meters. In this page, we can see some of the highest mountain peaks in each continent. For example, in North America, we can see Denali or Mount McKinley. In Europe, we can see Mount Elbrus. In Asia, we have already discussed Mount Everest. In South America, Cerro Aconcagua is the highest mountain peak. In Antarctica, we have Vinson Massif. In Africa, we have Mount Kilimanjaro. And lastly, in Australia, we have Mount Kosciuszko. Okay, so these are some of the tallest peaks in each continent. Now, let us discuss classification of mountains based on age. So, on the basis of age, mountains can be divided into two: old mountains and young mountains. So, what are old mountains? So, old mountains were formed millions of years ago and they exist or they have been around for millions of years. And because of this, they have been worn down by erosion and weathering. So because of this, the altitude or the height of the old mountains have lowered because of the action of erosion and weathering. So old mountains, they have usually rounded tops and the slopes are also gentle. But on the other hand, when we talk about young mountains, they have been recently formed, and since they have recently formed, the height of the young mountains, it is said that it's still increasing. Okay, and because of this, they are less subjected to erosion and weathering. That is why they have pointed peaks and they have steep slopes. For example, the Himalayan mountains. Okay, so Himalayan mountain, it is an example of young mountain, and if you see, it has a pointed peaks and the steep slopes or sides. On the other hand, Aravalli is an example of old mountain. If you see Aravalli, it has a rounded top and the slopes are also not that steep. It has a gentle slope, and also the height or the altitude is also much lower than the young mountain. So now let us see the case study. In this case study, we will study about two women mountaineers, Bachendri Paul and Arunima Sinha. So Bachendri Paul was the first Indian woman to summit or climb the Mount Everest. Okay, and in 1984, she achieved this historical achievement, and for this she was also awarded Padma Shri Award, and also she was awarded Padma Bhushan recently in 2001. 19. On the other hand, Arunima Sinha, she met with an accident, and after that she actually climbed the Mount Everest. So she became the first female amputee mountaineer to climb the Mount Everest. So when we discuss about the mountain environment is characterized by its unique vegetation, climate and wildlife, right? So the climate, when we talk about the climate in the mountainous region, we know the climate is cooler because of the higher altitude. So mountain forest is one of the main characteristics of mountain environment, because mountain forest is adapted to cold climate, right? And especially coniferous trees are found in the mountain environment, and coniferous trees like pine, oak and cedar. So these trees are adapted to cold climate. On the other hand, once we move up, or when there is an increase in the elevation, the temperature becomes much colder. So the forest, it becomes less dense or becomes thinner. So only few trees who are adapted to living or surviving in extreme cold can be found in this extreme or high altitude. For example, spruce and fir. On the other hand, when we go to the extreme height, or when we reach to the highest altitudes, we do not find any trees or forest. Only grasses, mosses and lichens survive in those environments. So these are the examples or the photos of some of the vegetation that we can find in the mountain environment. Now let us discuss about the fauna. So mountain forest or mountain environment has a diverse vegetation as well as wildlife. And when we talk of the wildlife, normally those animals who are adapted to living in cold condition can survive here. For example, deer, bear, wolves, wildcats are some of the common animals that we can find in the mountainous region. Apart from animals, when we talk about the birds like eagles, owls and woodpeckers also live or can also be found in the mountainous forest. Okay, and one special characteristics of animals living in the mountainous forest or environment is they have a thick fur in order to protect themselves from the extreme cold environment. Now let us discuss about the Himalayan mountain forest or environment. So in Himalayan mountain forest, animals like snow leopard and Himalayan black bear are common. These are animals that have adapted to live in the Himalayan region. On the other hand, when we talk about the birds like golden eagle and Himalayan monal are common. On the other hand, when we talk about herbivore animals, musk deer and bharal, which is also called blue sheep, are also found here. So thus we can say that the Himalayan mountain forest is rich in wildlife as well as natural vegetation. See, these are some of the photos of animals that we can find in our Himalayan region. Himalayan black bear, Himalayan monal, snow leopard and golden eagle. So now comes the topic life in the mountains. So now let us learn about the life in the mountainous region, citing two examples. Firstly, the Himalayas and secondly, the Rocky Mountains. Himalayas in Asia and Rocky Mountains in North America. Firstly, the life in the Himalayas. So as we all know, Himalayas, they are characterized by steep slope and rugged terrain and also extreme weather condition. So because of all this region, farming is very difficult, and most of the people or few people who does farming here, they practice terrace farming. And in terrace farming, the slopes are cut into steps to create flat land, and in those flat land, crops are produced. For example, rice, barley and potatoes. These are some of the crops that are produced in terrace farming. And because of the cold climate and extreme relief, most of the people or communities are engaged in cattle rearing. Okay, and they rear cattle, and in return they get wool, they get meat, they get milk, and they sell it or they use barter system in this particular region. Since Himalayas stretch over 5 countries, we also find different tribal communities surviving in the Himalayan region. For example, Bakrawal, Gujjars, Bhutias, Sherpas. So these are some of the tribes that live in the Himalayan region, and all these tribes have distinct culture, tradition, customs, their way of living, and so on. Another important feature is tourism in the Himalayan region. So Himalayan region, they attract tourists from different part of the world and different countries. Okay, because in Himalayan region, not only the nature or the scenic landscape is there, but we also find many pilgrimage sites and many hill stations. So people normally go there to enjoy their time. And in Himalayan region, we also find many extreme adventure sports like paragliding, bungee jumping, and so on. So large number of tourists come into this region. So because of this increasing pressure from people coming from different part of the country or world, there is a pressure to conserve the nature, or there is a pressure to conserve the environment over there. So thus the Himalayan region in recent time, it is faced with the challenge of tourism, development, and at the same time conservation of environment. So now let us discuss about the life in the Rocky Mountains. So Rocky Mountains, just like the Himalayas, also have rugged terrain or landscape, or we can say that the slopes of the Rocky Mountains are also steep, and it has also rugged terrain or relief. As such, agriculture is not predominantly practiced here, and agriculture is mostly practiced in the valley region where crops like hay and wheat are grown. So most of the communities are engaged in cattle ranching, and livestock rearing is their main source of income. So just like the Himalayan region, there are also many tribes living in the Rocky Mountains region. For example, Ute, Arapaho, the Eastern Sason, the Apache, Comanche, Sayan. These are some of the important tribes living in the region, okay, Rocky Mountain region. When we talk about tourist attraction, there are two important national parks, Yellowstone National Park and Rocky Mountain National Park. So these are some of the important sites, and they have very good scenic landscape. There are numerous lakes and hot spring also. So it acts as a source of attraction for the tourist. And similar to Himalayan region, this Rocky region is also facing challenges from different human activities like mining, oil exploration, timber harvesting, grazing, and so on. So now let us discuss about the different challenges that the people living in the mountainous region face. Okay, so in the mountainous region, people not only face or are not only prone to natural disaster but also human-made disasters. Firstly, flash floods and cloudburst. So during the monsoon time, or when there is a storm in the mountainous region, it can lead to the overflow of water from the rivers, causing flash flood. On the other hand, when there is a cloudburst, when huge amount of rainfall occur at the same time, it can lead to, or it can trigger, landslides and floods. Secondly, landslides and avalanche. So during rainy season, because of the extreme rainfall, rock, soil and mud, it slides down and it destroys the settlements, human settlements, or it also destroys the transportation routes. So this is called landslide. On the other hand, avalanche involves massive snow sliding down, and it can actually destroy or even take lives of the people. Uncontrolled tourism. So when many people visit a particular mountainous region, this region faces challenges like pollution, disturbance to natural wildlife, and also put pressure on the fragile ecosystem of the area. And last or another challenges that mountainous region face is heavy snowfall. Because of the snowfall during the winter season, it actually destroys the crops, or it is not possible for farmers to grow crops because of the snow. So this is also another challenges which people living in the mountainous region face. Now comes mountains and spirituality. So many cultures around the world consider mountains to be very sacred. Okay, for example, Mount Everest, the world's tallest peak, it is also known as Chomolungma by Tibetan, meaning Mother Goddess of the world. And in Nepal, the Mount Everest is called Sagarmatha, right? Or Goddess of the sky. Similarly, Mount Kailash, it holds a spiritual importance for the followers of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism and Bon religion, that is ancient Tibetan religion. So mountains, they are considered sacred by many religion and many cultures. Okay, and many tribal communities all over the world, they also worship the mountains. They also offer their worship and prayers, and they also honor or they do rituals to honor these peaks, mountain peaks. So after mountains, let us discuss about plateaus. So what are plateaus? So a plateau, it is an elevated landform with a steep sides or slopes and a flat top. Okay. So the only difference between a mountain and a plateau is mountain usually have pointed or round peak. On the other hand, plateaus have flat top. So plateaus are also called tableland because of their shapes. They look like table when we see it from distant area. Okay. When we talk about the formation of the plateaus, they are formed by different processes such as volcanic eruption or upliftment of the land due to natural processes or erosion of the surrounding land. Okay. So likewise, mountains, plateaus can be old and young. Okay, old plateaus, they are formed millions of years ago. For example, Deccan Plateau of India and Western Plateau of Australia. On the other hand, Columbia Plateau of United States of America and Tibetan Plateau, these are younger plateaus and they are formed in much later after the old plateaus. And when we talk about the elevation of the plateaus, it varies. Some plateaus may be few hundred meters tall. On the other hand, Tibetan Plateau, it is 5,000 meter high, or the elevation is 5,000 meters, and it is the largest and highest plateau in the world. And it also has the nickname Roof of the World. So now let us discuss life in the plateaus. So plateaus are often referred to as storehouse of minerals because they are rich in mineral resources like coal, iron ore, gold and other valuable minerals. So for this region, mining is an important economic activity in the plateau region. For example, Chota Nagpur Plateau in India, it is known for iron ore, mica, coal. Also, the East African Plateau, it is famous for gold mining and diamond mining. Similarly, the Colorado Plateau in the United States, it is famous for uranium, coal and natural gas. So, because of the presence of these valuable minerals in plateau region, it attracts industrial growth in the region. Okay, since many industries, heavy industries require minerals to run or to produce final product, this industry rely on this mining sites or source of minerals. So industries are located in proximity or in nearby areas. Thus, mining is an important activity there, and this industries, it provides job opportunities for many people. Another important thing is plateau in the soil in the plateau region are mostly rocky, so agriculture is not suitable. So most of the people are engaged in mining and most of the people are engaged as a worker in industrial region. However, when we talk about the soil or not fertile, soil not being fertile, the lava plateau in India, like the Deccan Plateau, the soil there is very fertile. The soil there is black soil called regur, and it is very suitable for cultivation of cotton, sugarcane and many other food crops. Now comes the tourism. So plateaus also attract large number of tourists because of their landscape. We can find many beautiful waterfall in the Plateau region. For example, the Jog Fall in the Deccan Plateau, the Victoria Fall in the Africa Zambezi River, and the Grand Canyon. It is famous for its deep gorge and scenic landscape. So many people visit Plateau region to enjoy the natural beauty. Okay, and many Plateau region also offers safaris and wildlife sightseeing. So it also attracts tourists in the Plateau region. Thus, we can say that the Plateau also provides a unique culture and also provides high altitude landscape which attracts tourists to the Plateau region and also is good for the economy of a particular region. So now the next topic is plains. So what are plains? So if we have to define plains, plains are large flat stretches of land which are not perfectly level. So they are not perfectly level. Instead, they have an undulating surface or they have small rise and dips. And another important characteristic of plains are their elevation. It is not more than 300 meters above sea level. And in plains, we do not find any high hills or deep valleys. So plains can be categorized into two types on the basis of its formation. Based on its formation, one is alluvial plain, another coastal plain. So what are alluvial plains? So alluvial plains are also called flood plains and they are formed by the action of river. So when a river enters the plain region or when a river exits the slope of the mountain, it enters a very flat region. And here the momentum or the velocity of the river slow down. As a result, the river starts to deposit the silt and the sediment it has brought or it has carried. As a result, in time, this deposition lead to the formation of fertile flat plains. So these plains are also called alluvial plains or flood plains and they are very fertile for agriculture. For example, the Gangetic Plain or Mississippi River plains. These are the two examples of alluvial plain. Now comes the coastal plains. So coastal plains are found along the coastlines or it is the land stretching between the land and the sea. And they are typically flat or slightly sloping and they are formed by the action of river or the action of waves. When the sea waves, it rises and it falls down, it deposits, at the same time it erodes. So in this way, coastal plains are formed. For example, the eastern and western coastal plain of India or the Atlantic coastal plains in the United States. So now let us discuss life in the plains. So plains, they attract large number of people because of the potential for agriculture, because of the fertile soil there. It also provides space for industrial development. It also provides space for human settlement, and also because the land is level, it is easier to perform many economic activities. And lastly, the availability of water resources. So as a result, historically also, if we say, many of the world civilization has grown and flourished in and around plains. Now let us see the example of Ganga plains or Gangetic plains. This plain has been formed by the action of river Ganga and its tributaries. So Gangetic plain is among one of the most fertile plains in the world. It has a fertile soil and it supports agriculture. As such, large number of people are engaged in agriculture as their main source of income, and along with agriculture, many people are also involved in fishing. Okay, people here, they produce diverse range of crops starting from rice, wheat, millet, sugarcane, cotton, and so on. Okay, so when we talk about agriculture here, traditionally agriculture was supported by rainfall, or it was rain fed, or farmers depended on the monsoon winds for agriculture. But in recent time, because of the development of numerous networks of canals, irrigation facilities is available to the farmers. As such, now farmers they are practicing agriculture with the help of irrigation. So now all this had led to the growth in agriculture, but this has also led to several challenges, and one of these challenges is depletion of groundwater. So now this depletion of groundwater poses serious threat for the present generation as well as the coming generation. Now let us see Ganga river and its significance. As we all know, river Ganga is holy and it is also sacred for many people, okay, mostly Hindus. Okay, so in Ganga river we can see, on the bank of Ganga river we can see many numerous rituals, religious rituals, ceremonies and also festival being held. As such, it attracts large number of devotees or people. And not only religious significance, economically also Ganga plays a very important role. Ganga provides transportation facilities. Okay, it not only helps in transportation of people, goods, but also facilitates trade. As such, Ganga is economically as well as spiritually very much important. Now let us see some important source of attraction in the Ganga plain. So in Ganga plain we can find many tourist attractions. Varanasi, it is one of the oldest cities in the world and it attracts people from various regions. Places like Rishikesh and Haridwar, it is a pilgrimage site and also known for yoga. And lastly, Prayagraj is famous for Kumbh Mela, where millions of people come and take holy dip in the holy river Ganga. So now the next topic is challenges in the Ganga plain. So Ganga plain, we know it has a rich fertility in soil and it also has potential, economic potential because of all the industrial growth in the region. But despite having this rich agricultural space or soil and industries, Ganga plain also faces a lot of other challenges. So what are the challenges? Firstly, the growing population. Ganga plains attracts a large number of people because of the economic opportunities and also because of good soil or fertile soil. As a result, overpopulation has led to over-exploitation of vital resources of the region. Okay, so first challenges or problem is of over-exploitation of resource. Second problem is of pollution. So because of large number of people living in the region, it has led to pollution of Ganga river. So Ganga river is heavily polluted because of human activities such as industries. Firstly, the industrial activities had led to the discharge of industrial waste into the river, therefore contaminating the river. Secondly, discharge of untreated sewage, and lastly, discharge of agriculture runoff or surface runoff. So agriculture runoff refers to all those chemicals that actually drains off from agricultural fields, okay, all those pesticides, fertilizers that we use. So these chemicals, it along with the rainwater, it flows to the river and thus contaminates the river. So all these activities has contaminated the river, and this contaminated river water pose a health risk for large number of people who depend on the river water, Ganga river, for irrigation and other purposes like drinking. Furthermore, not only water pollution, the Ganga plain also faces problems of land and air pollution. Why? Because of rapid urbanization, industrialization and deforestation. So because of this, the quality of soil and air has deteriorated in the past few decades. Okay, and lastly, flooding. During monsoon, Ganga plain also faces the problem of floods. Okay, and this flood destroys the properties, agricultural fields, and even poses a risk to the lives of the human. Okay, so these are the problems or the challenges faced by the people living in the Ganga plain. So now we come to the last topic of the chapter, that is other landforms. So we have discussed the major landform of the earth, and those are mountain, plateaus and plains. So apart from these, or along with these landforms, other landforms are also there. For example, deserts and islands. So when we talk about deserts, what are deserts? So deserts are area that is dry, it has a sparse vegetation, and the temperature is very extreme. It can be very hot or very cold. Okay. So surviving in desert condition or desert region is very hard. The life there is very uncomfortable. So on the basis of degree of hotness or temperature, we can classify desert into two types: hot deserts and cold deserts. So what are hot deserts? So hot deserts are those deserts where temperature is very high or the weather is very hot. For example, the Sahara Desert in Africa, and when we take the example of India, Thar Desert in India. So in this region or in hot desert, temperature can reach almost over 40 degrees Celsius during the daytime or even more, and at night time the temperature falls drastically. Okay, so there is an extreme fluctuation or daily range of temperature in the desert region. Another feature is the land there is or the soil is sandy or rocky. So vegetation is sparse and agriculture is not quite possible in desert region, and animals like snakes and lizards are not common there, and these animals have adapted to live in the hot condition. Second comes cold desert. For example, cold desert is Gobi Desert in Asia, even Antarctica, and when we take the example of India, Ladakh. Okay, in this desert the temperature is very cold. Okay, and this region experience snowfall. They have sparse vegetation like the hot desert, and this vegetation include hardy shrubs. So after desert comes the topic of islands. So what are islands? So islands are piece of land that is surrounded by water from all the sides. Okay, or they are completely surrounded by water. An island can be found in oceans, seas, rivers or lakes. So when we say if anyone asks where can we find islands, it's not only the oceans or seas. We can find islands in lake and even rivers. Okay, so when we talk about the size of the islands, it can be small or it can be big. So we have example like Greenland. It is a very big island. Okay, and when we talk about the island group of India, India has two group of islands or archipelago. A group of island is called archipelago. So India has two group of islands. Firstly, Lakshadweep Islands, and second, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay, these islands are not the part of mainland India, but very much part of Union of India. They are the UT, okay, Union Territories. So now with this, we have come to the conclusion of the chapter. Okay, so now we understood that landforms, there are different types of landforms. Okay, when even in India, the landform is not uniform. We can see different type of landform, from mountains to plateaus to plains to desert and even islands. Okay, and every landforms offers a distinct type of climatic condition or environment, and people and animals and even vegetation have adapted to survive in those distinct conditions. So now let us summarize these few important points that we have discussed in the lecture. Firstly, land is very crucial. We have already discussed because it provides space for human settlement, agriculture, industrial development and even transportation. Okay, landforms are earth physical features, okay, such as mountains, plateaus, plains. Okay, these are the major landforms. Apart from these, islands and deserts we have also covered. And landform affect and influence the type of vegetation, wildlife and even the lifestyle of humans. So what are mountains? Mountains are tall or large landforms. Okay, they are large land or higher land compared to the surrounding area. They have steep slopes and they have pointed or round peaks. On the other hand, plateaus are also elevated landforms, but they do not have pointed peaks, but they have a flat top and they look like table from far away or distant places, so they are also called tableland. An important point is plateaus are generally rich in mineral resources. Plains on the other hand are flat, large stretches of land, okay, and plains do not have any hills or valleys. Another feature of plains, they are densely populated. Desert are the arid or dry region with sandy or rocky soil or landscape. The vegetation is sparse there and life is very uncomfortable or survival is very hard in the desert region. Desert can be hot or cold. And lastly, islands. Islands are landforms that are surrounded by water from all these sides. In India, we have two island groups, Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep Island. So with this, I end the chapter. I hope this lecture was helpful for you, and we'll again meet in our next lecture. Thank you.